So, welcome everyone to Tuesday afternoon yoga. I hope you're all well. Spring is coming along in this bit of Europe. Very beautiful. So, let's start practicing. I'm going to come back to a couple of things that may seem effortful, but try to remember the basic vocabulary that we've been working through, beginning with the fact that we are, capable of practicing nearness, which has nothing to do with self-consciousness. It's part of our gift as mammals, as animals, that we sense ourselves. And even though this world is so fast-paced and full of screens and words, and put words all over, and doctors that tell us, and science that tells us, all these things that may make us feel separated from our physical reality, and in fact separated also from bigger things like creation and God. That's really not how we're built. That's not what the wisdom traditions and the yogis and the mystics tell us. They really encourage us to remember, to get all the members back attached to where they belong, which is very near, very, very near, and which is you. And that richness of sensorial life, which we call proprioception, capacity to perceive myself, interoception, capacity to go inside and sense and even language about it. And then exteroception or exproprioception, which is ability to map and read and perceive the world, to know how loud we should speak so that someone so many meters away can hear us properly. And all of that is part of our body. It's not that just this is my body and then that's it. I have a body which is my body inside my body, and then I have a body which is my body outside my body, which is the world, which I annex to myself in a very beautiful way. So when we do something more complicated or slightly more effortful, come back to nearness, and then from nearness, remember that you're working primarily first with your weight, and the weight allows you to sense your breath, to notice better where you are in the space. And then we might add a technical thing, like make sure your ankle is like that and your head is there. But before you get lost in the details, remember that the first step of sensing weight is linked to, and one doesn't come before the other, to sensing space. So weight is my mass here, and from there I begin to perceive volume, space, depth, perception, vanishing point, outside and inside, which means roots and wings, roots and wings. And then we can pin, which means axis and periphery. And then we can start to pin little details and discoveries you make. But if you leave that world of rich basic vocabulary, then your sentences make less and less sense, because we go into effort. And in this modern world of posture and getting exercises correct, you get instructions which are phasic instructions. They're shaping instructions. Put your pelvis like that, tuck your chin in, straighten the back, and then in the end, what happens is I have all these little instructions, and I've gone out into my sleeve, and it kind of feels terrible, but maybe looks okay in the mirror, and it's not sustainable. Same, we're going to do variations on plank. So if you look up in the internet, you will see that the instruction on plank is to tuck the tail under, pull the ribs in, flatten the back of the neck, open the back of the knees, and then die of constipation, having lost the beautiful, rich fluidity that we have in gravity. Doesn't mean that those little things may be right or wrong. They may be perfectly right for you, but they make no sense if they're not in the bigger picture of how we orient in gravity, how that brings us to our spine, how that brings us to our breath, how that makes us feel our weight, how that brings us near so that we're here, 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 here. And I stress it often because when we do classes with other people online, you know, we can, and I can't come around and touch you or just sit there and, you know, just be with the question of how should you do that? You know, we can go all visual and get caught up in it. So that is what I wanted to say. And now I will speak with my Italian accent for the rest of the class. No, maybe I won't do that. But we're gonna put ourselves like this, hands behind, feet on the floor, not too close right away, it doesn't need to be too close. And I just want you to feel that you can push with your feet, do you see, and roll your pelvis back. Or you can push with your arms and roll your pelvis forward. So back and forward. It doesn't matter if you have the other direction, but forward and back. So we're just gonna so instead of worrying about correcting the position, often if you play with the range, you go, oh, I didn't realize that could move, or oh, I could do that position like this, but I could also do it like that. Which one feels better for me? Or so here we're just rolling back and rolling forward. So I push with my feet and my tail tucks under. I push with my arms and I poke my squirrel's tail into the floor. And then I'm going to lift a little. And then I'm going to land on the back of my sit bone, so on my wolf's tail. And then I'm going to roll forward. So I'm making a back bend like this. And I'm going to lift a little in the back bend. You know, that's quite complex in a way. So if you're not sure or you think you did it the other way around, don't blank yourself. Just go, oh, I have no idea. I don't know what he's talking about or how to do that, or did I do the opposite? Just go into the unknown. Welcome the, I don't know what he said, I don't know how to do it. That's how the body works. The mind goes, I don't understand, and it blanks. That's the verbality of the mind. But embodied reality through the felt sense and the deep part of the reptilian brain does not work like that. It's not that logical. It just says, I don't know, or danger, or sleepy, or digest. And then all you have to do is welcome it. So you go, oh, so maybe you look, or you close your eyes, and you play, and you give yourself room to get it right, to get it wrong, to be moving. So now I have my tail, my wolf's tail, my tail is tucked under, and then I come down, and then I push with my hands and I go into a back bend. And maybe I play with my shoulder blades back there for a moment, widen my toes, and then I come up. Yeah. And I release down, and then I push with my feet and I tuck under. And then again, I lift. It's quite marvelous if you don't worry. And you just play. So you land on the back of your tucked under pelvis and tail. And then you push with your hands. And you roll almost onto your sit bones, or even onto your sit bones. And you let the whole spine, arms, head, neck, and then you come up in that funny place like that. And then you reach down with your squirrel's tail. And some middle place. And then come down onto your elbows. Turn your hands under. So if you slide your first finger, this I'm showing you here, you can slide it up and down these your filet mignon muscles, down the side there, the erector muscles, the paraspinal muscles, which are bulging out, and then you've got your quadratus lumborum in there. So they're very strong, and you can feel them. So you slide along. As you go up, you'll bump into your ribs. As you go down, you'll hit the bony pelvis, and then you can turn your hand like that and dig in with your fingers towards the center where your spine and pelvis and the tissue in there is incredibly strong. Where all the iliolumbar ligamentous bridges are, where the muscles that were leg muscles have become buttock muscles, have become gluteals, all that kind of stuff. And then they begin to transit across fascial sheaths onto the back via latissimus and iliocostalis and all of these different layers and lengths of incredibly powerful muscles that travel up the back. So your fingers are sinking into that. And you can do more back bend and squirrel's tail, or you can roll under like we did earlier and do more wolf's tail and push your back into your fingers. Your feet are alive, your feet are palpatory, your toes are awake. Your head is alive, your neck, your antlers, the breath. Yeah, I'm moving my hands around. Yeah. It's such a living, wonderful, kind of miraculous place. It's like the ankle. It's one of those totally miraculous places, this place where the sacrum and the pelvis become the spine and the back, where legs, pelvis become trunk. Great, then you're done with that. So then you lie down. So now the legs are straight, you've come all the way down. And the arms are wide. So it's taken me a lifetime not to tidy up too quickly. So, you know, that's a compulsive thing that in my personality to get it all lined up, and I was trained that way, to move that way in dance forms and yoga. But actually, you know, if, for example, you just lie down and you just, first of all, just notice where you are, what's attracting your attention. And then you can give a bit of direction down to the feet, up to the head, or out to the arms. And all the while, you're sensing and appreciating how things are today. So I can feel that my middle to upper thoracics are a bit tired, and it would be good to have a book under my head, a book or a folded blanket, because without the book, I can feel that something in here is short. And so I lengthen, I do my tidying too much, and then I feel it pulling. So just, where did I put it? Just a little bit of support will ease that transition. Head to rib cage, and the other one is rib cage to pelvis. Don't worry about flattening your lower back. Just let it be. Just let it be. So let's let our legs be heavy by wobbling them. Maybe you can do one leg. Yeah. So when you wobble the leg, not at the ankle down there like that, but you wobble the leg from deep up in the spine, you involve all of these structures that come down onto the leg, especially the adductors, the psoas muscle, which runs along in here. Yeah, so this is, we want the leg to move as a pipe that, or a sheath, a pipey sheath that comes up deep into the torso and onto the spine. Yeah, and then the other side. Touching is helpful because when I put my hands here at the pelvis and groin, I can feel what I'm doing, where I'm moving the leg from. I can feel that I'm moving the leg from deep in here, on the front and on the back. Great. And then I rest and I just notice what you notice. Are the legs flowing out? Are they more heavy? If something's uncomfortable or become uncomfortable, or you're now aware of the sensation, positive or negative, if it's not pleasant, you can put some support where you need, under the back or under the knees. Okay, so the arm. So the right arm floats up from the fingers. And you let it fall. Let it fall from the elbow, but let it start from the fingertips and go through all the sections, right up through the shoulder blade into the spine, and then let it fall. And the left arm. Remember, we want to do, but also to be sensing. So that movement is arising out of being. Yeah, it's extraordinary to think that the nervous pathways are for both doing and sensing. When if you type too much and you irritate your wrists, first you get sensing messages. My fingers are tingling, I feel numb, and if you don't do anything about it, years later, you get doing messages that you have no strength to open a jar of something or to pick up something. I'm just alternating arms, letting them rise and fall. And I'm not in a rhythm, just doodling. Or both. Try not to hold on to the image of a shoulder girdle as a stick that goes across, because it isn't like that. It's a very adaptable structure which is over the upper ovoid structure of your rib cage. So the shoulder blades at the back and the clavicle in the front. So when you move your arms, things yield and open. It's not a stick with a shoulder here. So as the arms go up, you can imagine if you want your breastbone sinking or rising, but there is a river of adaptability, of flow, of stability, of aliveness that travels through the structures. And the breath and the weight and being near. So something released in my neck and in my throat. Something's heavier and longer in the legs. Okay, so I'm going to bring my feet. I'm going to bend my legs and bring my feet flat on the ground. So for the Setu bandha variations, you want to take any prop from under your head away. Okay. And huge feet, long spine from head to tail, heavy, close to yourself. And then the tail begins to go. So it's nice to begin with the sense of the tail going, but immediately you realize, wow, my feet are awake, my knees are reaching, my femurs are growing, my tail is going, my pelvis is rolling, and I'm going up and up and up, up from the tail. So it's a hanging something. It's not you didn't pick up a log. It's hanging and rolling up and up and up and up and up and up. As high as you like to go. And then coming down in reverse, really hanging from your tail. Don't let it push your knees too much away from each other. Really hanging, 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 so you don't put your lower back down as a stick. The tail comes down last. Hanging, adapt your feet, try a different position if you want, and then tail going. Tail, 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 tail. Up you go, huge feet. Don't be pushed just onto the outside of your feet. Everything working together. And then we're just going to let the arms go up like we did. And you can rock around up there if you can stay for a bit. Just rock and move these arms. And go from side to side. Yeah. If you're very high up on your neck, be careful not to move the head too much. Great. And then drop and coming down. Because you lifted your arms, you will be much higher up in the neck. So this will be a different position. And all of that middle rib, like the fifth or the sixth rib, all the way up to the second and the first, they may start to itch and burn as they wake up because off we go again. As you go up there, you are really challenging that movement. So let's put our fingertips on the breastbone like I'm doing. So don't push your chest up. As the tail goes up, the chest sinks, even though you think, oh, I need my chest muscles. Sink your fingers on your breastbone. Tail goes up. Keep sinking the breastbone. Sink the breastbone. Go up with the tail. Sink the breastbone. Drop your arms across your chest. Hook onto your shoulder blades. Go higher. Yeah, don't think. Keep going higher. You can rock a little bit from side to side. Wiggle around on your back. Your arms fly up. You're even higher. Relax in the back of the tongue and then coming down. Just land like a glider. Landing, landing, landing. It'll be new. It'll be a new position, so just hang out there. Yeah, let yourself, as you breathe in, be open in the armpits, like air's coming into the armpits. Let air come into those top two ribs and under the clavicle, a little bony bridge across the front here. Tail going up, flowing higher through all those crunchy upper spine bits. You can adapt your head as you go higher, probably higher than before. arms flying up. So the arms should lift the shoulder blades off the ground. So you're on just, it feels like one tiny bit of spinous process of one vertebra. It's not going to really be like that, but it kind of, you're higher and higher and higher. And then the arms go over the head, over the head. Lots of height. And then leave your arms very quiet. Let them ease away from the ribs through the armpits as you come down. Just allow, the more you let the tail stay up, the more you will make each of those upper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ribs really move in relation to each other and to the vertebrae between which they live. Keep going. If the arms want to come off the floor or need to be wider, just adapt. You shouldn't have pain in the shoulder. Keep going. And when you're down, keep landing. So you don't just come away from where your arms and chest are in relation to each other. You keep landing. I can feel I'm still landing. The muscles are still slowly turning themselves off, turning themselves off, turning themselves off. More, landing, landing, landing. Different things are relating, different curves relating to each other, different things, different spaces inside talking to each other. My head is heavy, I'm not tucking my chin in, but I can feel there's a new length in my neck and there's an old habit that wants to pull in. So I just amplify the sense of feet and the weight in the arms, and I just let the newness have time to be remapped, and my tail is going again, and my back gets pushed into the ground as my tail goes up, and my feet wake up, and my knees reach, and I'm flowing up, flowing up, flowing, 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 up, 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 all the way, all the way, all the way up, higher, leaving my arms quiet on the floor, open in the armpits. I keep going up through the belly, higher, higher. Lots of ground and roots, lots of winging and going, awareness of that long pathway from head to tail. I'm coming down, down, down. Yeah, don't fight against your body. If something's reached its limit, then adapt. Let the things stay though. The arms stay in their own weight. They don't need to rush around to do things. The tail is up. It's beginning to land, landing, huge feet. Landing, landing, landing. Noticing that something on the right side was gripping, just noticing, and it lets go. Twitching, quivering. Something in the neck is moving. Lots of length, still landing. Still landing, still landing. Always less holding. Very aware of the back of the head on the floor. Shoulder blades, sacrum, heels. Wonderful. And, you know, in your own time, we're just going to come out of this. Take your time, take your time. And you can stay on your back, or like I'm doing, you can roll onto your side for a bit. And come up. Well, just come up to standing. In your own space, lots of roots down to the feet, lots of life up to the head. Notice what's different, looking out the window or looking across the room. Don't shape or organize anything. Just notice what's different, what's old, what's new, where there's more awareness. Pathways of weight, things waking up. Very often we lose this. It's like these loving, very present hands touching our back by the shoulder blades and up towards the neck. We lose the sense of presence and support there as we become forward bended into our world of doing and controlling minute detail. And we lose this support, but it's also like we lose that space behind us and that looking behind us, which is so important. And then we try to correct it by bringing the shoulder blades together or down. But the correction is better if it happens through perception. Like I can feel now from rolling on my back, I can feel that awareness and a kind of openness. It doesn't matter if it is or isn't more open, it's what I feel. So my back is alive and deep, which is great. That's what we need. You know, I have depth here. Okay, so that's important because I want to use that experience, and we can come back to it if we need to, while we work on the front. Oh. Just letting a little wave, just a little wave travel through. Don't look at it, don't worry about how sophisticated or big or small. No, don't do any of that. That's languaging. If you had to write a paper on it, maybe you would talk about it like that. But right now, it's this very old, very natural movement that human beings make. Every time we breathe, we oscillate. It's not as big as this, it could be, but it's not usually. But it's definitely there. And yeah. So a busy day of emails and shopping and clunking around and rushing and tripping over things takes us away from this ocean of micro movement, which the body actually is. And it puts us into flexion, extension, sleeve movements, you know, and then we get tired and grumpy because our whole world becomes a little flexion, extension thing, you know, where we're all tugging at each other. But actually, that's not really what the body is doing and how it's built. It's built for this little wave that we're making. And this wave happens everywhere in the water of the body. And being together and resonating together is also a wave. It's like two people doing that. I went for a walk the other day and I could see all this algae in the river. I was up on the bridge and they were all waving. It's incredibly beautiful. Well, that's what we do when we face each other or walk side by side. You know, we're all doing this. We're all doing this. And yoga movement practices is allowing that to be there. So don't look at it, don't worry about it, who cares? Yeah. Everything moves like this. It's like a blessing, which is everywhere and on everything. Okay, now that said, we're going to do plank. So, but you want this to be a quantum plank, you know, a plank made of waves. The plank is very particle-y, but let it be alive. How do we do that? By not grouping all the muscles together and doing, you know, an army movement, which would also be fun. You know, push-ups can be fun. But what we want to do instead is have huge antlers and tail and big living toes and fingers and heels. And then the body will orient, and then it does something in its myofascial web, which is extraordinary, between water and pressure and bone and membrane. So hands alive, I see my hands. My toes are bending. I know it sounds poetic, but only because I'm trying to play with language as you might, but it isn't that poetic. It's just really real. It is how we are. You know, we're not sticks. We're these incredible tensegrity, living, verticalizing bags of water with lots of meaning making and searching. It's all quite extraordinary. So I'm going to reach back with my left heel and over, oh, that's my right heel. It's the incorrect left heel of my right leg. And then my left heel of my wrong leg, which is also my right leg, which is still my left heel, goes back. So both my heels reach back. And then as they reach back, I open my head direction. And that wakes up all the structures. And then I let myself be a bit saggy. And then I let myself be a bit balloony. And then I let myself be a bit saggy, lots of heels, lots of head, and then balloony and saggy. Oh, it's gorgeous. We could keep doing this, and balloony and slightly bendy in the knee and slightly dropping in the head, and then reach back with the heels and reach out through the top of the tongue, the head, open, make a ha sound, ha, and then touch down lightly with your knees and rejoicing, return, and wow. So the more oriented you are, head to tail, and the more awake your hand is, the more your shoulder blade will do the right thing. It's not the shoulder blade, it's the rhomboids and especially the serratus anterior, which hooks up over the top but is mostly under. What happens is when we are oriented and our hands are palpatory, the shoulder blade is there for you. When you're kind of struggling in lots of other things, shoulder blades will go elsewhere, which is fine, but sometimes it's not the most efficient thing. Same, if you reach with your heels and you're aware in your toes, the muscles behind the knee, the gastrocs at the top, at the bottom, sorry, and the hamstrings at the top, they cross the knee and they open the back of the knee. You don't need to stretch the back of the knee. It opens because of the pathway. That's wonderful. It's wonderful. And then the front of the leg is just supporting you. Let's do it again. So now, if you're like me and you tend to be here, so you tend to show your flexion, it could be helpful to turn the hands out just a little bit, because if I go that way, I'm going to be more in my pattern. If you are a more hyperextending type, which means you hide your flexion because it will still be there, but you've hidden it, you find out what's more comfortable for you. But it might be nice if you just relax a bit when you're up there and don't think flat and don't worry about floating ribs and having to stay like that, because just it's going to do it. The more along you get, the more that will happen. So I'm going to let my hands turn out just a little, like that. And that will help me, it will help me be on the baby finger side of my hand, which will help me feel these areas that fall asleep on me. But you can try also like that, and you can play. They're both wonderful. So to have to be in the middle with parallel middle fingers, not necessary. Okay, and then I'm on my knees and I get my arms a little bit vertical and my hands are awake and palpatory and my head, my antlers are coming alive and I'm awake in the armpits and I reach back with both heels and huge length of the heel going back. Now I'm just going to, I know that my tendency will be to be down a bit, which is fine. So I'm just going to reach more with, actually I want to be a bit more vertical. So a tendency to be down a bit, I'm going to reach more with the heels and push down from the hands and let the fountains of my arms rise up. Lots of head and tail and heel direction. Wonderful. Now I'm going to, you can come down and then do this again. I'm going to turn my onto the outside of my right foot, put my left foot on top of my right foot, and I'm going to look down between my two hands, and I'm going to reach towards the floor with the soles of my feet, and then again I'm going to just let my head and tail get longer and longer. Breathing, letting things clunk away in there and come back and come down. So sideways plank, sideways bamboo. The secret of sideways bamboo in the orienting river is to aim for the floor with the underneath of your foot. That gets the knee in the right place, and then everything else follows. And it's tricky because it's tiring and it's weird and you're wobbling, especially if you haven't done it. But get that in the right place first. Then very often you fly up into the one-arm variations, but actually, if you leave both hands on the floor for a while, you are doing something very rich with all the structures of your back, because you're putting them into a loaded rotation. So continue with that for a bit, and then we'll lift our arms next time. So the breath. Yeah. Are your elbows heavy? And is your baby finger heavy, the little finger? Because very often we are thumb oriented. And thumb and first finger oriented is a pathway direct to the little pectoral muscle in here, which is a kind of little flexor devil. So we end up like this, here flexing, tongue and eye flexing. I'm getting more and more in that grumpy place. And what we lose then is the back. And the back comes from the little finger through the elbow to the shoulder blade. So we need to have that feeling of weight through the elbow and baby finger, from the shoulder blade to the elbow and baby finger, from the base of the head to the shoulder blades, elbow, baby finger. The breath, the weight, this undulation, the opening. Noticing the world around, looking out the window into the depth, looking behind. Okay. So we're going to go same pathway, hands, maybe you're doing the same again, or you're going to try more rotated in or out, opposite of what you did the first time. It's up to you. And then toes, quite vertical arms. Already my antlers are waking up. And then toes, heels going back. I'm on the bend of the toes. Antlers, very awake hands. It's not about stretching them open, it's about being on them. Heels going back, lots of length head to tail, playing with where I am. Am I more saggy or more balloony? Lots of heels, lots of toes, and then turning onto my right foot. So you can see I'm on the outer blade of my right foot there. And then I'm going to turn my foot towards the ground, towards the ground, towards the ground, towards looking down. Lots of length from heel and toe to tail to head. Breath, aliveness, and then coming down. So remember, when you kneel back, you can put supports under the ankle or between your knees so that you can really rest. And every time you really rest on the hinging of the legs, the capacity to hinge gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So don't kind of be up there and in pain. Support with props, and you'll find that you can find the right way of doing it and make it comfortable. And then it starts to really work on the upper and lower ankle and through the knee and into the hips. And the breath and the weight and being near. Near and resting in my weight, attending to the wave of the breath. I may be surprised or inspired by accidents of perception, by this little tripping over of something that I didn't know was there, was making itself evident, that I couldn't construct. And it's like I trip over into a place where I'm not so organized anymore. It's accidental. And in that unknowing place where I'm startled, inspired, what can arise is a much deeper appreciation and almost healing, if you will, integration of your postural possibilities. Not the shape, but the potential that posture is. And so this can seem like a complete waste of time if you wanted to do 30 sit-ups and then this. And, I do that. I love to go out and run forever. slowly, you know, and that's a different thing. It also has its own inner rhythm. You may find it walking, or if you do a strong gym workout or swim laps in a pool or horse ride. But within the frame of those things, again, we can discover a lot. And here we just make the frame bigger. But you could go to a Bikram class or an Ashtanga class and also discover within them a much stricter frame. Only there, the more strict you make the frame and the more you challenge the body, the more the possibility of a particular kind of injury. Yeah. But if we've been learning, then it's different because there's an awareness. We're much more aware with how we're playing with ourselves. Okay. I hope this isn't too much, all these push-ups. But we're going to be here again. We're going to reach back with the heels. I'm going to look at my heels, look at my bending toes, reaching with the heels, and now reach with the heels one way, reach with the head the other way, turn onto the side of the foot, reach with the foot towards the floor, open up, and then if you want to come up, you go ahead, open through the body, find out where you are. Yeah, find out where you are. Open the soles of the feet towards the ground, and then we'll just go the other way. Oh. Reach with the soles of the feet. Open out through the arms. Wait, this really wakes up the sides of the body. Lots of length from feet to head. Lots of opening. Lots of opening, 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 and then coming down. So there are lots of yoga poses that wake up the sides like this. And it's wonderful because we don't inhabit our sides so much because our senses are in front. So there's our world and then there's our not world. But actually the sides here are incredible places. Yeah. Very nice. So let's just come up to standing. Go for a little walk. Very nice. So if you just stand a little back on your mat and you don't get all too parallel, unless it really helps you, but it doesn't help me because this left foot doesn't really know where to be. So if I force it, then upstairs I don't know where I am. So I just let it be a little, can tell that the left one wants to be behind and a bit turned out. So I just let it be like that. I wait a bit. Because what happens is I can feel myself landing on my feet, you know, back into the deep leg, which is back. The deep lower thighs are back in here. And then the deep, like the pipe within the pipe of the hamstrings. The deep in there. So but it's different. You may be more here or you know. So, but I just use that example so that you're, you know, it just takes a moment. And if you overline the whole thing up, you may miss out on these colors, which are yours. Yeah. Okay. So let's just open the legs down and the arms up. So first the arms go up, and then maybe the ribs get follow. Then I let the ribs be heavy, and I let the arms open deep into the armpits and deep into the neck, down into where the heart is sitting on the diaphragm, let's say. So I wait for that to happen. Yeah, and it doesn't matter. I'm not looking at, is it all lined up? I don't care if my arms are slightly in front, really. And then I'm just moving my arms a bit just to free up or map or sense the way the arms are pipes that go deep into the torso. Deep, yeah, there's something opened up. Now they're more up and my chest is more open and I let them drop. And I just bend and straighten and bounce. Okay. So I'm going to take a step with my right leg, not very far. We're not going to do triangle pose, so this feels nice, but now I have to turn my back foot even a little bit more, so that's fine. It's really up to you. And then, so the triangle poses, and we've done them a few weeks ago, started again looking at them. They're about being on the back leg, but the other poses, the balances, the warriors and the moon poses, are about bringing this triangle onto the front foot. That's where we're going. So I'm just going to let my weight shift onto the front leg. Yeah, again, I'm not looking, you know, and be patient and sweet with your own patterns. Yeah. Now, the back of the leg, the back leg and the back of the back leg needs to be heavy down to the heel, so otherwise you're picking it up. So let that be. And then we're going to start to bend here. So this is the beginning of one of the warrior poses and of the moon pose. So I'm wobbling over my standing foot, which is wonderful for the body, and I'm bending. And as I bend, I'm letting the foot lift me, okay? So if the foot is receptive and palpatory and alive, it's going to send an information up. If it's just a hoof, then it's something I'm leaning on, and then I'll be closed here, and I won't have a lot of room in the leg to lumbers. So the foot is alive, and I'm leaning forward. The back leg and the back are long. Yeah, I have antlers and tail. And something is lifting me inside. So there is a lift in the joint where the femur and the pelvis come together. It's very three-dimensional, so it's not just one place. Yeah, so I'm tipping, and then I'm just going to open. I'm just going to let myself open. Wobble and open and open and open and open and fall. Okay, and then we do the other side. So we were standing, then we stepped. Then there was this long waterfall down the back leg. And then I began to tip. And when you're tipping, you want to lift. So, I don't know, you can play with your hand. Yeah, and then open. And don't, the moon, this is moon pose. The moon rises in the sky. It doesn't sink in the sky. It goes up and over. So you're going up and over, up and over, up and over. faster, not rushing, but just less considered. I step, I'm going up, I'm going forward, I'm wobbling. It's marvelous. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So even eventually as you go to the floor or to the chair, you're going up and over. So chair, yeah, we always shorten to the thing we want to get. But Alexander called it not end-gaining, and St. John of the Cross called it the via negativa, going away for wanting to go there. So whatever you want to call it. So I go up and I'm going up and away and round and falling. Let's do it a few more times. Just let yourself go. Step and lift and open up and let everything open. Let it open, open, open. Yeah, nobody's watching. I mean, all the angels are actually watching, but you're not watching and nobody's filming, and this is not a Zoom call. This is not a Zoom call. It never was. Going, flying, up and over, and then again maybe without a chair, and then we'll close. Just step and fly up. You're being lifted and rooting. And other side, up and open, up and over. So, bye everyone. Thank you. Have a wonderful closure to your yoga practice. I've run over a bit. I'm sorry about that. And see you next Tuesday. Have a lovely rest of the week.